communist nation, but still they are having a watermark of a Hindu temple. It's in Angarwat. So people are looking towards the Hindu population with hope. According to 2008 census, there were 4 billionaires in top 10 billionaires of the world, according to the Forbes report. And so it's my personal belief that India would face severe hardships the day when the NATO forces would cry victory and leave Pakistan and Afghanistan. After being in combat for more than 8 years, U.S. Army has realized now that the war in Afghanistan is unwinnable. This would boost the morale of the jihadis in this Asian subcontinent. Their immediate target would be India, with porous borders with Pak and Bangladesh. And I am in no confusion that militancy and Talibanis would spill all over the region. Worst times are just about to begin in India.
Wow. Well, yeah, what's going on in Afghanistan, Obama and the far left, it has been their goal to undermine the U.S. military for since the Vietnam War. They've been doing it. So they got their hands on everything now. The American people was stupid enough to give them power, and now they're going to undermine the greatest fighting military force, in my opinion, in the world, and they're demoralizing them, and it's just a shame. And they want to lose that war. They want to hand it over to the enemies, and to make us look like weak. That's what they want.
Right. And when we talk about Pakistan and Afghanistan and the Indian subcontinent, we must never underestimate the power of Pakistani intelligence agency, that is ISI.
Right.
ISI is operating in more than 45 countries, and it has become an umbrella organization under which thousands of terror forces are operating. Apart from terror activities, ISI is also involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, arms supply, smuggling, funding jihad, planting moles in armed forces of every pro-Zionist country. This is very important, planting moles in armed forces of every pro-Zionist country.
Wow. Well, so now what do you see any major conflict between Pakistan and India coming up?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
Definitely.
I was surprised it didn't happen right after the Mumbai attacks.
Yeah, India is under a fear of civil war if it attacks Pakistan.
Wow.
India is having a huge number of Muslim population that would support Pakistan in face of war with India.
Right. They're infiltrating it every day more and more. So this way, if there is some type of conflict, they can start terrorism within India with their terror cells. That's what they're looking to do, right? You agree?
There's a subject I always discuss in the meetings, and the subject is this, that when there is a nuclear strike, against any country, and if it's carried out by a nation, then you know that this is the Prime Minister, this is the territory of the nation, and these are the culprits. But when a terrorist organization will carry out a nuclear strike against a nation, with whom would you retaliate? Because they are not having a territory, they are not having the Prime Minister, they are not having even a public face. Right. They are stretched in more than 15 countries, 20 countries. So you won't have you won't be having options. And that is very, very, very dangerous.
Do you remember Alexander Litvinenko? He was poisoned. He was the KGB agent that was poisoned with polonium.
KGB agent, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
you know what he
yeah.
said? Yeah, you know what he said was in an interview before he was murdered. He said that Russia is fighting the United States with an invisible hand, which he was talking about Al-Qaeda, and he said that Zawahiri, the number 2 man in Al Qaeda, was trained by the FSB, KGB, in 1998.
Okay, so that's something retaliation from the Cold War.
Oh, sure.
Of
course, because we had bin Laden and the Mujahideen fight against the Russians in Afghanistan, and then when after the first Iraq war, bin Laden declared war against Saudi Arabia and the United States, and he turned
and he got thrown out. Yeah.
Yeah. So he joined. Of course, this is never mentioned because they always associate bin Laden with the CIA, but nobody ever mentions that Zawahiri's KGB, and that I believe that bin Laden is in Iran right now, not in Pakistan. What do you think?
Very much true. Very much true. Either bin Laden is dead, or if he's alive, he might be in Iran. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Yep, and because after 9/11, Zawahiri's family fled to Iran, and bin Laden's son has been seen going in and out of Iran since 9/11. So, they have a very a veil of deception over this whole terrorist network, and the media is in on it.
Absolutely. The petrodollars are playing very important role. The day we find substitute to petrol, the day we find substitute to oil, that would be the most pleasurable day.
Well, you know what? You have something on your website here that's, by the way, I want to give your website again. It's parisrajput.org. I have it on theconservativemonster.com. And this is really, really excellent. I'm very happy about this moment to be on a live interview with you from the United States to India. And this is really, people need to wake up and listen. Hey, this is a global problem. It's nothing to do with conspiracies about Bush and 9/11, the CIA and the Israelis. That Islam, radical Islam, is killing people, and it has nothing to do with Israel when it's happening in India. Is that true?
Absolutely correct. I'll give you some records from our history books. According to our historians, 33,000 Hindu temples were brought to ground in just 800 years.
Wow.
Muslims have murdered, raped, kidnapped, ransomed in such a way. They have plundered the wealth of India in such a way that nobody in the world has seen such kind of genocide and mass murder. It has only in 95, I think, the Rwandese, in Rwanda there was a genocide. Such genocide has been going on in India for centuries. Now, 33,000 temples were brought to ground.
Now, I see on your website you say Islam is a curse to this beautiful planet Earth. Let's see, more than hundreds of nations of the entire globe are under direct Islamic militancy threat, and India is no exception. So now I'm curious, do you view Islam or Sharia law do you view this as a religion or a political system, Islam?
I see the entire Islamic concept as a concept of organization. It's not a way of life. It's not a religion. It's not system of life. It's not political power. It's an organization, like a university. In university, you have a particular dress code. So does the Muslims have. In university, you have a particular timing of classes you have to attend. So does the Muslim have. In university, you have the banking section. Even in Sharia, even in Islam, there is a banking section. In university, there are security guards.
Right.
There are guards to protect the university. So you have the jihadis. They are protecting the university. So it is an organization. And it has been successful in being an organization. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has said, Sanghe Shakti Kali Yuge. It means that in the Kali Yuga, organizations would be having power.
So I view it also as a criminal conspiracy, very much like communism. They learned a lot from the Russians. The Russians trained, the Russian communists in the 60s, the KGB, trained many of the Muslim terrorists that we're dealing with today, learned from KGB training camps. This is never, ever mentioned. In Cuba, they were in Eastern Europe. And, this is never mentioned. So I agree with you. It's more like a criminal conspiracy disguised as a